Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're really getting into something quite foundational, I think. How big national goals sometimes get, well, maybe lost in translation when it comes to actual policy.
Exactly. We're tackling these, huge concepts,
Hmm.
social cohesion, national solidarity, things every country really wants and needs to build.
Right, because they're not just nice ideas, are they? The research we're looking at makes it clear high cohesion means real benefits, development, progress. It's vital stuff.
Absolutely vital. It's about that fundamental connection, that cooperation within a society. It's a shared asset, really.
And the lens we're using today is, well, it's cinema, film policy specifically, which might sound a bit, I don't know, niche. But why film? Why is entertainment so critical for these big goals?
Well, it's because of how we learn, isn't it? So much isn't direct teaching. Cohesion is shaped by so many things, but media, and especially film,
Hmm.
it's uniquely powerful. It mixes serious ideas with entertainment.
Hmm.
Think about it. The values and norms we really internalize, they often sink in when we're relaxed, during leisure time, not sitting in a classroom.
Ah, okay. So it's like this subtle mass public education through
Yeah.
stories and visuals.
Precisely. A
Wow.
really potent vehicle for that kind of indirect learning.
Okay, so that sets the stage. Our mission today, then, is to dig into the actual rules. We've got this research report analyzing what they call the upstream documents.
Right, the high-level stuff. Policies, laws, directives from the cinematic organization, the Ministry of Guidance, basically the rule book for film production over the last couple of decades.
And we want to see how much do these rule books actually talk about strengthening that national solidarity, that cohesion we were just discussing. Is the goal written down?
Yeah, is it codified?
Yeah.
Let's start with definitions, just to be clear what the study means by these terms.
Good idea.
So social cohesion and solidarity, they're essentially about how connected and interactive society is, that shared sense of us,
A collective agreement.
pretty much. And the study smartly includes national identity, too, because, well, you often need that shared identity before you can get that sense of us.
Right.
Oh,
Makes sense. And cinema seems perfect for that. It can show history, culture, land, all the things that build that shared identity.
exactly. It visually represents cultural similarities, historical moments.
Mhm.
It can be a tool to strengthen identity and, from there, enhance cohesion.
So the big question for the policymakers is, are they actually using this tool? Are they making sure the films being made contribute to these goals?
Are the rule writers, the ones setting the direction, clearly telling the film producers, hey, this is important? That's what the research tried to find out.
Okay, so methodology. How did they go about it?
They did a content analysis, went through stacks of these government documents, policies, mission statements, laws, the works related to film production.
And they split them up.
Yeah, into two main groups, which is actually a really useful way to think about how policy works or doesn't work. Group one was the high-level stuff, the big laws, the macro policies. Think of it as the overall strategy.
The vision statement.
And group two.
Group two is the practical stuff. The bylaws, the directives, the procedures, the day-to-day instructions for film producers, the implementation details.
Got it. Strategy versus execution. Let's start with the strategy then. Group one. The big picture, laws, and goals. They look at 136 items here. What did they find? Was national cohesion even on the radar at this high level?
It was. Somewhat. The findings show that just under a third, the specific number is 28.3% of these high-level documents, actually showed clear attention to indicators of social cohesion and national solidarity.
Okay, so about 28%. It's there, but it's definitely not the main focus of all high-level policy, is it?
Not by a long shot. It's present strategically, but it doesn't dominate. And crucially, how that 28% was focused is really telling.
Ah, so it wasn't spread evenly across all the different things that make up cohesion.
Not at all. And this is where we see the first significant imbalance. The attention paid to religious indicators of cohesion was way higher than the attention paid to national identity indicators. Wait, really? So even within that 28%, they leaned heavily on one aspect. What about other things, like fairness between groups or showing different ethnicities interacting well? Stuff that seems pretty crucial for cohesion.
That's the striking part. Those other factors, things like positive interaction between ethnic groups, building social capital, equal opportunity, justice, they were largely ignored in these big macro laws.
Wow. So even the strategic vision was quite narrow. If you're aiming for a cohesive nation, surely you need to think about how different groups fit together.
You'd think so. It seems like a strategic blind spot right from the start. Even at the highest level, the focus was limited.
Okay, that definitely sets us up for potential problems down the line. A somewhat narrow 28% goal gets handed down. Now let's talk about group 2, the implementation.
Right, the bylaws, the directives, the documents that are supposed to turn that 28% intention into actual practice for filmmaking.
And did they?
This is where it really falls apart, honestly. The analysis looked at 340 specific items in these practical implementation documents.
The checklist for producers, basically.
Exactly. And the finding. The attention to social cohesion was, and this is the researcher's term, very meager.
Very meager. How meager are we talking? Give us the number.
Okay, get this. Less than 6%. Specifically, 5.58% of these day-to-day operational documents mention national cohesion at all.
Wow. So from 28% down to less than 6%.
Yep. A massive drop-off.
Yeah.
A 22 percentage point gap between the stated strategic importance and the actual operational guidance. Well, that's a huge failure in policy translation.
Stunning. And I'm guessing that tiny little 5.58% probably had the same imbalance we saw earlier. Still focused more on religion than national identity?
You guessed it. The asymmetry just carried right on through. Within that tiny fraction, religious concepts got slightly more ink, 3.23%, compared to national concepts at 2.35%.
So the bias was embedded, even when the topic barely came up. But why did it drop off so much? The analysis mentioned something about structure versus content.
Yeah, and this is key to understanding the how of the failure. Most of these implementation documents, these bylaws and directives, they weren't actually focused on the artistic content of the films.
What were they focused on then?
Process. Bureaucracy, essentially. The structure of activities. Things like, how to get established, how to get permits, registration forms, monitoring, supervision, making sure the paperwork was right.
Ah, the classic process over outcome problem. So if the rules are just about checking boxes Form B, Permit C, what aren't they asking the producer to do?
They aren't asking them to think about the substance. There's no requirement or even strong guidance to include narratives about ethnic interaction or social justice or national history in a particular way.
So the producers judge on compliance with the process, not on whether their film actually contributes to those bigger national goals.
Pretty much. The system wasn't set up to guide the content. The researchers found only one specific older bylaw about film exhibition that even touched on relevant indicators. It suggests the modern rules were really built to manage the business of filmmaking, not shape its message towards national cohesion.
Okay, so the crucial point here, for you listening, is that the people writing the detailed instructions, the operational directives, they just didn't carry forward the level of attention found in the big picture policies. That 28% ambition got lost, diluted down to less than 6% in the actual guidance given to creators.
And why this matters so much, according to the research, is that these documents are seen as the guiding light for filmmakers.
The guiding light.
Yeah, that's how the government is supposed to communicate what it actually wants, what it demands from an artistic work.
So if that guiding light barely flickers when it comes to social cohesion,
then it's not guiding anyone towards that goal, is it? The study's conclusion is stark. The role these laws actually play in achieving the goal of boosting social cohesion through cinema is, well, very meager.
it really highlights a failure of execution, doesn't it? We know cinema is this powerful tool for transferring values, for shaping norms.
Absolutely. It's recognized globally for that. Yet here, the policy structure just isn't set up to leverage that power effectively, even though the idea is present in those high-level strategy papers.
It's a classic breakdown between policy intent and policy implementation. The noble goal exists on paper, but the instruction manual is missing the key steps.
Exactly.
So, looking forward, if they wanted to actually fix this, to bridge that huge gap between the 28% and the 6%, what did the research suggest? How could they make the policy work?
The recommendations are all about making the implementation match the intent. First, they need to go back and rewrite the policies and goals to really emphasize social cohesion, make it explicit and frequent.
Okay, make it clearer in the rules.
Second, mandate the use of specific indicators. Don't just talk vaguely about cohesion. Specify things like showing positive interactions between different ethnic groups, focusing on social capital, highlighting national identity elements, make it concrete.
And the third step sounds like it needs teeth.
It does. The guidance has to shift from just being a background concept to a mandatory requirement. Producers need to be obligated to use these solidarity indicators. The focus has to move from just managing the process to actively shaping the substance.
Right, from checking forms to checking the actual content against these national goals.
Precisely.
Fascinating stuff. It really throws into relief that difference between having a vision and actually making it happen on the ground. Which leads us to a final thought for you, our listener.
Hmm.
Well, if that high level vision, that 28% strategic attention, gets so completely undermined by the lack of detail and priority in the day to day instructions that less than 6% focus, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Does policy failure happen most often right there at the point of implementation? Does it almost not matter how good the initial goal sounds if the people writing the detailed rules don't carry it through?
It's a critical question. Where does the breakdown really occur?
Something to think about. That gap between the grand promise and the messy details of the regulatory text. Where does the real work get lost? Join us next time on The Deep Dive.